So we're talking about Victor the barman from Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
And Victor came over to the island working on a short 9-month work permit, together with probably a 12-month visa, I suspect. And once again, what we see is the failure of Jersey policy in relation to providing employment for workers and providing employees for primarily the hospitality industry. The employers are crying out for staff, and here we've got a young man who's really keen to work. In fact, he's just had, I will claim victory and claim responsibility. I made a phone call, said to someone, do you need a barman? And Victor went down and had a couple of hours experience, and he was made the job offer. So they will take him on for whatever period he is given by the immigration. But the issue is really now political, and it rests with the immigration department, also rests with the Minister of Home Affairs, who have all been appraised of the issue. There seems to be an adamancy about cancelling his visa and requiring Victor to go home. I hope this is not bureaucratic, Kafkaesque stupidity.
Well, when I heard about the scenario, I thought, well, they said the other day that if people have difficulties, they will make arrangements for them to transfer to another job. They're not going to be sending people back immediately.
Well, that was the realisation that the policy needed to be a little more flexible if it was going to continue to provide continuity of employment for employers of their valued labour. And employers were not happy that obviously the people were going to have to go away and come back in 3 months. Clearly it's a policy that doesn't work, and I think we said in advance it wouldn't work because it wouldn't provide the employers with the employees they wanted, and it was very harsh on the employee, as the case of Victor here is showing.
That's right. Just for interest, what is how much does it cost to fly from Kenya today?
It's about £400, I believe.
Is it £400?
Yeah.
So if a guy like Victor earns, what would he make in a week?
About £350, £400 per week.
Right. So it's several weeks' wages.
Yeah.
Just to fly here. And that makes them very vulnerable, of course, doesn't it, if you are?
That's the issue. It's precariousness. It means that as an employee, you're totally dependent on your employer to whom you have been contracted. You can't, if you lose your job, you're likely to end up, or the policy says, you've got to go back home.
Yeah.
And that means that, of course, you're ripe for exploitation. You can't argue with the boss. That's fairly obvious.
Victor hasn't been here long enough. He won't know any states members, I suspect. In his situation, what are people supposed to do? What are they supposed to do?
Well, Victor went to the Citizens Advice Bureau, and he also went to Jack's.
Right.
But it seems that the policy of both is that when it comes to immigration matters, they will not give advice. They're not able to give advice. They will give advice on employment matters within the island, but when it comes to immigration issues, they do nothing. It's almost the policy not to do nothing. Hopefully they'll respond to that. Hopefully they'll tell us it's otherwise, but that seems to be the case.
Well, I mean, the whole scenario, it is a bit like a nightmare, isn't it? They desperately want staff.
It's Kafkaesque.
He's got the skills. He's the sort of staff they desperately want.
Absolutely. We want a cocktail? They'll make it.
Make it, right. And the interview you said he had was with a very upmarket restaurant.
Absolutely, and they were really pleased with him. Within the 2 hours, there was a job offer. They needed him because they need staff, and when they see talent, they want to keep it.
It's deplorable, isn't it? What else can you tell me? I mean, I'm a little bit mind-boggling in this because it's so obvious that the bloke ought to be here and employed.
There are some issues in relation to the employment. Proceedings have already been issued in the employment tribunal against the employer, I'll tell you that. They relate primarily as an unfair dismissal claim, which relates to the fact that the employer didn't provide the 24-hour work break every 7 days. Victor worked for the entire month of February without a day off. 1 day off, I think it was the 2nd of February. Terrible.
Of course, if he was...
And the issue there is that the employer is obliged to set the rota, set the work pace in such a way that the employee is given a day off.
Right.
That did not occur. Likewise, he didn't get his 30-minute breaks, which our dear Minister of Social... the minister. Which is minister am I talking about? The Minister of...
well, you've got the Home Affairs Minister.
No,
You've got what they call the Tourism Minister, who isn't really tourism anymore.
Judy Martin.
Oh, Judy.
Good. Thank Judy Martin on the 1st of this month gave them the right to have a 30-minute...
That's right, she did.
Yes, of course, right. The Alliance Party as party didn't approve it. They actually voted for... They had an amendment that only wanted to give I think it was only wanted to give 20 minutes. Deputy Wickenden, who's probably hopefully not standing anymore, voted for that, so that a worker like Victor shouldn't be entitled. Anyway, his employers ensured and didn't actually give him the break to which he was entitled.
One of the missing links in all this is, of course, trade unions. Now, I don't suppose Victor I don't suppose he's ever been a member of a trade union. I don't know what.
Well, we know fully well that the trade unions in Jersey are not interested in immigrant labour. No, full stop. That's right. It's mainly a concern for the white working class, let's put it that way.
That's right. What can be done about that? Why aren't unions interested?
I don't know. Well, maybe I've put the challenge out to the unions, in particular to Unite. Come and explain your policy. Why are you not recruiting, and why not actually shouting about this from the rooftops? Why is it? Is it just because you're only concerned with the interests of the white working class?
Well, we need to get an answer of that either tomorrow or the day after. Because
we will. Tomorrow is Monday.
Yeah.
Victor's delayed his departure. There's going to be a lot of lobbying on tomorrow.
Right.
And we will report back as to what's happened. I should think that the various departments will be quaking a little bit. We can put some real pressure on the politicians to explain the failures of their policy. They know their policies have failed. They now have to admit it, and they now have to implement changes.
Well, I was rather intrigued because somebody was commenting on the fact that they got all these 800 P&O staff. They've just been sacked in the United Kingdom, and it transpires they're all on Jersey contracts. And the States member who made a comment on it said it's going to cause us reputational damage. They didn't give a sod about the 800 people who are actually affected. It's their reputation they're worried about.
Well, I could comment on that, but I'd like to see the contract of employment, and no doubt their lawyers for the union will be explaining exactly what is the nature of this Jersey contract. There is a case on this couple of years ago, and it was an oil company employee who was employed by a Jersey company, and he wanted to claim unfair dismissal, I think, but the matter was struck out because the Jersey employment law only applies to those who work wholly or mainly in Jersey. And there's lots of these international Jersey companies employing staff internationally. This guy worked in Greece on the oil rigs, unprotected.
Anyway,
no rights are redressed.
Let's hope that Victor gets a settlement tomorrow of some sort. And I hope he can report back. I hope there's time. We can follow up and we can report what's happened to Victor tomorrow or the next day. And let's hope he's got a job offer. Yeah. And let's hope the system will allow it.
Yeah. Let's hope the politicians, and we know we can actually reach out and touch them, these people.
Right.
They're on the phone, although they will have answer phones and don't take calls. But we can put pressure on them, and hopefully they will do a lot to assist this young man, get him a job, and make him a useful contribution towards Jersey and a business that's crying out for a excellent barman.
This might be the young man who in 20 years' time has got the 3-star Michelin restaurant he's running right now. Who knows?
Quite, exactly. We wish him well.
Thanks to both of you, Nick.